But I mean, even on a statewide level, if the state house and state senate are made up of like, I don't know how many districts, Steve? Probably like 8 to 12 at most. Even if that's like a 1 to 2 seat difference that swings Democrat largely for those 80 years within the state.
I guess the point, one of the questions is like, even because I don't know the history, so I'm referring to what he said because I haven't fact checked this. A West Virginian Democrat is very different from like a fucking contemporary California Democrat, bro. And the reason why is because of all of the mixed politics in the state. Why they come, that's why those Democrats are usually when they're moderate. That's the point I'm making. And you can't account for those differences without accounting for the complexity. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that part is true, and the Democratic lane is mostly driven by because there's a lot of working class people here. So the main Democratic thrust in West Virginia revolves around workers' rights and protection for your average worker. You get it much outside that in the social issues, it's not so strong.
Exactly. I engage me. I think we can put this to bed and go back to the main topic in the room. Unless people want us to continue to talk about West Virginia for some reason. I actually want to talk about what the implications of these DSA victories in the primary is even supposed to be, culminating in what happened last night with El Said's victory. And a kind of a nail biter of the race. I did it last night. It was kind of interesting kind of watching the count kind of ebb and flow.
Tremendously fun room with an unfortunate ending. Very fun room.
The unfortunate ending being Said won?
Yeah. Because I was rooting for my team. It was like a sporting event.
So it seems like the Hassan's hiking in the world are overjoyed or whatever, because their particular brand of politics seems validated by, I guess, yet another DSA progressive type victory. Or maybe, I guess, not it be it. It seems like Said's doing the work of moderating his positions now, which is to be expected because, you're not going to be attractive to those of us in the middle unless you do that. So everybody does it. Republicans do it. Democrats do it. It's just kind of part of the game. It's a little sleazy in my opinion, but I get why they do it. What I'm really curious about is like, is this really helping the Democratic Party or is it hurting it even more?
Was it you that said, or somebody else said in the room, that Republicans turned out to vote for El Sayed, keeping in mind it is a open primary. Was that you?
No, somebody else said it.
Yeah. So it's an open primary state, which means Republicans can also vote in the Democratic primary. And Mike Rogers, the Republican candidate, won by default unopposed. He's endorsed by Trump. So Republicans may have crossed the line to help elect the least attractive candidate for the fall elections.
This kind of accusation is very, and there may be some truth to it, but this kind of accusation is very loud when it comes to these kinds of candidates who seem to be beyond the pale.
I can't really hear you. Are you able to speak very clearly into the phone? Sorry.
You are black. You are garbled. It's a little matrixy. We can't hear you.
I don't know.
Well, if you got to speak.
Didn't we say the same thing about Trump when he was a candidate in 2016? That Dems should register a Republican and vote for him?
I said the same thing about Nikki Haley.
I don't know if it's true. It's more of one of those wacky, quasi-urban legends. But it could be true.
I mean, to adjudicate that, all you have to do is go back and see, like, how many people voted in this Democratic primary versus previous Democratic primaries where, just
this
previous.
is a high turnout year in any event, with or without the Republicans joining the party.
They really would adjudicate it.
Is this going to be a record turnout midterm?
I think people are very motivated and activated. People really do not care for El Trumpo. And I think they'll be motivated to turn out.
Jason,
Yeah, but I don't know if I'm not so worried about the Senate, but it's more about keeping the House.
I mean, it's something like Tallarico's even going to beat Ken Paxton in Texas.
Sure.
That's bad.
Sure.
He seems unlikely. You never know. Texas doesn't like
Keep
those weird-
sending those checks, guys. Send those checks to Tallarico.
Texas doesn't like those weirdo young, like, he seems like, what's that guy's name? Beto Part 2, you know, he seems like another wacko Beto.
I am gonna take your AR-15.
No, he seems like an actual Christian. And Texans love God.
Yeah, but they don't love weirdo liberals.
Well, they love Texans and they love Christians. They love God, they love Texas, and they love the state of Texas. Ken Paxton doesn't seem to have like the love of God, the love of the state. A little bit, yeah.
Run by a Christian that God's non-binary and see how they react to that.
Oh no, Steve! I forgot about that. God,
That's
why I'm
He fucking said that.
Yeah, he did. Why are you trying to pretend like he's like a Christian who says things like that? He's kind of like a liberal version of a Christian.
Oh shit!
like a new age.
That's worse than I'm gonna take your AR-15.
Texas also has a strong get out the vote campaign right now for Dems. It's very relational. So they'll be registering people, but they don't just register them and leave. They follow up with them and they keep it relational until election day. And thereafter.
I mean, Fox News even posted an article recently. Fox News polling is showing that independents in Texas are leaning towards Tallarico at a rate of 68%.
Well, that'll swing the election.
Exactly.
I hope that poll is wrong.
What was saying there?
If independents vote at a clip of like 68 to 30, or 65 to 30, or 65 to 35, if independents vote overwhelmingly for Tallarico, that will swing the election.
Why would independents vote for Tallarico?
That's what the latest Fox News polling is showing, and the reason why is because Ken Paxton is like obviously a corrupt, hypocritical, like horrible criminal of a attorney general, and everybody knows it.
That sounds like an objective appraisal. I'm sure that's trustworthy.
I'm sure if you just go look at his record, you can decide for yourself whether you agree with.
I think it's true, but like what I don't understand is
Here's an objective appraisal. James Tallarico has a.
But we're talking about Texas. That's the part that's not diving with me. Like, I think he is there. I just don't think Texas gives a shit.
Don't forget about how many people have moved to Texas recently from out of state, from California and etc.
You think we're going to offset conservative Texans?
I mean, the polls show Tallarico ahead by a couple of points. I'd say it's still within the margin of error. But the most interesting thing to me is when you get into the details of the polling. And like the fact that they have independents overwhelmingly supporting Tallarico at a clip of like 65 to 70%, and that Tallarico has more Democratic uniform support than Ken Paxton even has Republican uniform support. Those are pretty big facts.
The polls also showed that El Sayed was ahead by 20 points last night, and he barely squeaked by like 20,000 votes.
The polls are never wrong ever, guys.
Well, they can be.
What?
They can be. I mean, this is Fox News, which I would assume would be more favorable to Ken Paxton's audience if it.
Depends on what poll they used.
They have their own polling institution, don't they?
I don't know.
Depending on I don't know if the court just their own post. They still on home with them.
Now, there was a poll in Iowa that said Trump was down by 4 percentage points, and I think he won by 9. So I think we need to that. Florida, let me ask you: if you dug into that polling, what was the issue that was moving the independents in that poll?
Well, the economy, for sure. It's the economy. And don't just take my word for it. Get Marshall in here. Marshall Rankin is literally on the ground knocking on doors for local Republicans in South Texas on the border. And like, I'm sure he could tell you with great explanation, great clarity, great detail, exactly what those primary issues are.
He just said yesterday or today that everybody he talks to is talking about affordability and economy. Everybody. Every door knocking.
The Texans are going to trust in Tallarico to address those issues? I guess.
The other thing they don't like here is the fact that, there's a handful of billionaires that are overwhelmingly dominant regarding in-state lobbying, in-state education, in-state real estate, in-state oil. There's like 3 or 4 fucking families in the state of Texas that have an extreme amount of influence in Texas politics when it comes to the Republican Party, at least. And Tallarico is a billionaire. Let's not get it twisted. Tallarico is a progressive. He definitely has a moderate tone, and he's very calm, cool, and collected. But he's very progressive in his ideology, and he is a Christian. He does seem extremely genuine. I believe that he actually is in it for almost all the right reasons. I haven't seen any sort of hint of like, oh, this guy might actually be corrupt. Oh, this guy actually might just be in it for himself. Like, so you have a hard time finding where Tallarico's flaws are, other than the fact that he believes in a like non-masculine God. Which, as a Jew, I'm surprised El Normo disagrees.
Well, you mean
you have no idea what it is to be a Jew, Florida. You know more about the dark side of the moon than you do about what my thoughts are and what Jews' thoughts are.
Well, Florida, could I just tell you something from someone that has been around a lot of churches. The stuff that you hear out of Tallarico, any church that I've ever been to, the preacher, if you would espouse something like that, at the end of the service would pull you off to the side and have a talk with you. It's that extreme in Christianity.
Which is really silly to me. The idea that like the entire fundamental like element of a lot of churches is some sort of like personification of God and his identity, or rather its identity, to be more specific.
No, it's not that. There's fundamental teachings that let me give you an example.
No, it's fine. I mean, we agree. They are fundamental teachings, right? But like the joke is that there's a personification of God that inherently makes it a masculine creature or feature of the universe.
Well, I mean, the Bible itself describes it as the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I don't know how there's non-binary in that description. That's from the verses themselves. That's not some interpretation. That's literally in the text. And Tallarico doesn't only do that. I mean, I can't think of right off the top of my head, but he's perverted the teachings. And there's a chapter in the Bible, or a book. It's called 2 Timothy. And if you go to that and read chapter 4, a lot of Christians will look at that, 2 Timothy chapter 4, and start reading and say, yeah, that's the guy right there that he's talking about. You know, the guy in Michigan, I think that what makes him so dangerous as a candidate, I think he's kind of homogenized all the grievances in the working class along with social issues and kind of congealed them into one big ball of wax to like, pick your grievance. I'm for it.
As far as the DSA goes, I think on a local level, they're helping the Democratic Party rebuild some sort of enthusiasm amongst people who are apathetic independents and also the base, the core of the liberal left. But in addition to that, on a federal or national level, the DSA in the long term will only be as successful as their own policies allow them to be, when or if they somehow be able to actually get major things passed. What are those things? How quickly do they try to implement some of the extreme ends of their policies? But I think one of the big things that the DSA candidates have been pushing for, that maybe the only thing that they've been pushing for that I can really get behind, is like the idea of a ranked choice voting system, where everybody just kind of ranks all of their fucking candidates in order of favorite to least favorite. And it's funny to me how whenever that topic is brought up as like a thing that will actually do a lot towards creating a more competitive political climate, I can't find anybody who can really argue or debate that on any serious level, other than like, oh, ranked choice voting is too confusing. And it's like, if that's your only criticism, you just have never like taken a poll of people's favorite ice cream flavors in order of favorite to least favorite.
I agree with you, Florida, because I mean, Jason knows we got ranked choice voting out here. I love it. I think it's the best. I think it's the best change that's ever happened, because you could because you don't have to pick from one party. You could pick across the board. And I think one of the most interesting things that happens with ranked choice voting is that even in districts that are Republican or Democratic safe, in California, when you think about either state or federal level, it does cause a different kind of debate. You're going to have two Republicans, sometimes or two Democrats, who hopefully are representing different spectrums of the party. And so people get some kind of actual substantive debate about which kind of Democrat or which kind of Republican do you really want to have, right? In that regard. It's not confusing. It's very easy. And yeah, when you get those, as we do in mail-in voting, like when you get that sheet, sometimes it's like 15, 20, 30 people, but hey, I don't mind having 15, 20, 30 people to choose from.
Yeah, I mean, it really does seem like it would force candidates to moderate their arguments and or positions, or at least make overwhelmingly compelling arguments for why their unordinary, extreme positions are the best. And if you really want to win an election in a competitive ranked choice race, you're going to have to do that. One or the other, if not both.
And it can overcome the money because I know this is like some years, not that long ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, something like that. But there was a guy who was running across the water in Oakland. He was running for mayor. He was like a Democratic, I think, state senator. So he was much more well known. He had more money than any of his opponents. He had like $1 million or something, in his war chest to go campaign. And he lost to a city council member who may be at the best at $250,000 that she was able to raise, due to ranked choice voting. Ranked choice voting gave somebody like her, who would not have had a chance before, an opportunity to win. So it does. It can, in some cases, it can address the money issue.
How did that occur that worked itself out like that? I mean, what was it about ranked choice? Was it just bad ideas or what, David? I'm not following.
So with ranked choice voting, right?